Well, good morning, everybody. It is Heidi at Hen and Chick Studio in Conrad, Iowa. Good morning to all of you. Come on in. We're going to have a little conversation this morning about fabric. What else? Fun stuff. I'd love to know where you are watching from, so jump in the comments and tell me where that is. I'm in Conrad, Iowa, and I love to know that I'm spreading creativity coast to coast. So jump on in and put in the comments. You can put a state or a general region if you feel more comfortable doing that. But boy, oh boy, I would love to know that we are reaching coast to coast this morning. And what are we doing today? Today is part one of 4 parts of our Sew the Sparkle Sew Along. We do things pretty casually here at Hen and Chick Studio. So if this is the first time you're hearing about it, that's okay, because we're going to give you all the details and you can start immediately. Or if you have already done some of the work by pulling fabrics, awesome. I think that, again, everybody gets to move at their own speed and do their own thing as we do this. And I hope along the way that maybe we share some ideas, inspire each other, learn something new. But there will be, I always do, you know this, I always have an upload date at the end that will allow you to upload a picture of your finished quilt top if you so desire to do that on our time frame. And there might be some prizes involved because, again, I love to give away prizes. And good morning to Judy and Tammy and Suzanne. Love to have you all along this morning. So what are we doing? We're doing Sew the Sparkle. When I saw this particular quilt that is designed by Patrick Lose, I couldn't resist. It just felt like there were stars sparkling all over. His title of the quilt project is called Shining Stars. And it is just so, I think just, again, it's fun. It sparkles. It absolutely sparkles. So what we do here at Hen and Chick Studios, you know, I like to create a web page that has all of the information. So again, if you're joining me today for the first time and you're like, whoa, I'm way behind. Nobody's behind. You're going to go to henandchickstudio.com/sparkle, or right on the home page, there is a Sew the Sparkle logo. Click on that. It'll take you to the same page, but that is where everything is located. That is where the interview I did with Patrick Lose is located. That is where the download for the materials list and 2 new downloads are all available there. And we're going to talk more about that. So good morning again to Diana, Judy, Carol, Nona, Maria. Love having all of you on this morning. So that is like our landing page. It's our home page for this particular project. So if you're ever in question, you would go to our website, henandchickstudio.com/sparkle. And that's where all this lives. When we do a live like this on Facebook, I then upload it to YouTube. So those people who are not on Facebook and are watching this later, welcome to all of you. Then that YouTube you can watch, then the YouTube will also live on our website. So there's lots of ways to participate. And since there is absolutely no exact deadline except at the very, very end, I'll let you know what that deadline is for uploading your top. Other than that, this is for fun, right? So everything is free as we're going through. So that's what, what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about the project. Now, some of you are kind of treating this like a mystery because I have had a few conversations. So if you don't want to look at the quilt itself or hear me talk more about the pattern, then maybe you'll just skip this until later. But you can go on to that Sparkle page, and there is a button to click where you can see the entire quilt that we're working on. I do think that it is just very fun and bright. We're going to talk about some different options today. So I love it. Everybody keep jumping in. Love that you're joining me this morning. Again, I'm Heidi at Hen and Chick Studio in Conrad, Iowa, and I love seeing where all of you are watching from. And I see quite a few locations across the Midwest and farther. So that is wonderful. So I would love to know where you are in the process. So jump on in. Have you already picked out your materials? Because of course, some of you have ordered our kit, which is currently sold out. If you're wanting another kit, I can't make one exactly like I did that many of you bought because I'm out of that some of that fabric. I would be glad to go with another variation. So if you're needing help, by all means, I'll be glad to help you. Now, maybe this morning you'll have a whole different inspiration of which direction you want to go. And we're always glad to help you with that as well. Okay. So if you've picked out your fabrics and you're confident you're going in the direction you're going, you know, later today, jump over into our Facebook creative community. If you haven't joined yet, by all means, let me know if you don't know how to get in there, and I will give you the direct link. But in our creative community is a great place throughout the entire process of the sew along to jump in, put photos up, take photos of your stuff, and be ready to go. Okay, so that would be great. Put it on the creative community, and then everybody can see and be inspired. I know there's some of you that will wait until the very end and get all of the instructions and then you'll make it. No problem. Whatever your preferred method is, that's what this is about. Okay. And along the way, I'm going to hopefully again inspire you, maybe show you a couple things, that kind of thing. So let's talk before we get into, I'm going to say some of the downloads and that kind of stuff. Let's talk about fabric selection. If you looked at the picture, and again, if you don't want to know what it looks like, shut your eyes, whatever. But if you look at the quilt that Patrick Lose designed, and I can't find my picture this morning, it's Monday morning. So, you'll have to look at the one on the website. What I love about his quilt is that it's white background, bright colors of stars. So it has a very clean, look, very kind of modern, a little bit bolder with the stars. And I think that there is something very appealing about that. With a white background, boy, you could really do some quilting that is going to stick out and stand out against that white. Even when you do white thread on white fabric, that texture really pops. So if that is something that you're looking at in the end, certainly that is an option. But what I wanted to just talk about is I think that Shining Stars from Patrick Lose is a very versatile pattern. I think it can take on a lot of different looks depending on what background fabric you pick and what star fabrics you pick. So I wanted to give you a little bit of inspiration, and I have been thinking all weekend about Nancy Rink, longtime designer. We've had many of her things here in this store, and I happened to run into her last week at H&H, sat down next to her in one of the classes and saw her on the floor. And Nancy is one of those designers also that I think really understands color. So I brought 2 quilts from my personal collection that are former store samples. One I made, one that Stephanie made that I just can't part with because I believe the colors are so striking. So I'm going to step back here and hold them up a little bit, and then I can come back and talk to you too about them. But when we're dealing with white background, I think, there's a totally different look than a black background. So the first one I'm going to show you is actually the one that's on the top here is called Getting to Know Hue. Many of you made this quilt. We had kits for it back in the day. I sold lots and lots of this fabric because to me, it was just a classic collection of shades, different shades of the same color with different prints on those colors. So you could literally, I felt like those fabrics went all sorts. I'm going to stand back here for a second, and I'm going to only probably be able to show you, well, maybe I can show you more, but let's see how much I can show you. Let me see, 'cause it's a big quilt. Maybe I am going to have to come up farther here. Let me get up here. Okay, so this is Getting to Know Hugh. And you see how I love how, sorry, I'm hitting the camera. She did literally a light, medium, and a dark, all in like certain colors. And then each of them had a different print, all incredibly subtle. Like they weren't that piece of fabric that just jumps out at you, but they're so complementary to each other. And I always felt like her fabrics went with any collection. But she did that in a variety of colors. So there, I think you can see the pinks. What's the next one? Blues. And so again, this is called Getting to Know Hugh. She used all of the colors in the star in the center. But I felt like it was just a great example. The other thing that she did, and it's a little harder to tell on camera, she used 3 white fabrics, 3 prints. Maybe I can show you. Let's see if I can. Let's try here. Okay, I'm going to come back. So she used circles, petals, and lines. So again, another great example of how you don't have to use just one fabric in the background. You could use 3 in that particular example. So wonderful way to just showcase a lot of fabrics. Now I'm going to show you Amish with a twist number 1. I made it when I started the store, if you can imagine this, 13 years ago. And it's Amish with a twist, definitely worked all with solids. So it's solid black and solid bright colors. So it's almost like taking the exact same type of, those solid colors, but putting them on a black background. And even though I'm going to hold it up back here, as you can see, I think you can see a little bit more. When you're working with black on a background, the same bright colors are wonderful, and they just pop in a different way. So again, you don't have to, I want you to think outside of the boxes, that you don't have to think always about that it has to be white or that it has to be black, but it can also be a variety of fabrics. It can be scrappy kind of thing. And oh, the quilting is beautiful on those quilts. Okay, so I wanted to show you some kits for completely different quilts, but to get your thoughts about how you could pull fabrics from your stash to work on this quilt. Because one of the things that you could look at are the largest pieces that you need, and then go to your stash and go, like, for example, let's see, in the white fabric, the largest piece you need is an 8.5-inch wide strip. So a quarter of a yard, right? So all of a sudden, it calls for 4 yards of white, which, is a lot of white fabric. But the largest piece you need is an 8.5-inch wide strip. Wow, you think of the possibilities it could open up there for you. So, for example, I brought out several different things to show you. Again, these are different quilts, but in essence, the same concept of what Shining Stars is doing. And this is again where maybe you have a quilt kit in your stash and you haven't made it. Maybe you need to pull it out and look at it differently and say, hey, you know what? I still love these fabrics, but maybe I don't want to make that quilt anymore. Well, maybe you could add a little or, do something different. But here is the quilt for plain and simple, okay? But what in this particular one, we used 1 white print, and then all of these beautiful prints were used in this quilt. But can you see all of these being used in those stars? It would, oh my gosh, it would sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Or what about this kit, which is, let's get it here. So the original quilt, right, is a buttercup slate, and it's called Casanova. Okay, but look at these whites. What if all of these whites ended up being your background and your stars were the yellow, greens, and grays? So interesting, right? Or poppy patchwork. Again, look at all of the whites. We made a very, very scrappy background. Again, all of those could be used in the background of this quilt, and then use the yellows, pinks, reds, teals, navies for the stars. I pulled out Kim Deal. I think all of these. I think that's what's so versatile about this quilt, is that I don't think it's limited to bright, right? I think you could do warm and cozy. It would look very different. Imagine, and I just pulled out, what if you use some Kim Deal backgrounds and then all of her beautiful golds, greens, reds, pinks, browns as the stars? It would have a very different feel. And there's a few of you that I know are watching or will be doing this that I can't wait to see the combinations you pull up, because it's going to be beyond what I'm even thinking. And then I had to pull up this is the new Conway Cottage collection. And again, look how in the quilt, right, there's lots of scrappiness, and then the peaches, the golds, and the blues, grays. Well, again, same concept. You could do that exact same thing and use the white fabrics, the light colors in the background, and then use the golds, navies, and the oranges for the stars, and it would have yet another completely different background. So I also pulled out, as we talk about fabric collections, okay, Amish twist, Amish with a twist that I showed you, all solids, perfectly fine, right? You could go to one collection and you could pick all of the fabrics. So the other day I was standing in front of this quilt, and this is Chicken Scratch by Charisma Horton, and I absolutely think her fabrics would look great in Patrick Lose's quilt. And it happened that I got some of these, if you were watching my unboxing the other day. I mean, here is, look at these. These would be beautiful stars, and you could even do more the chicken scratch in the white with the black for the background if you didn't want a solid white. And then I looked at this collection. This is also Charisma Horton Chicken Scratch, which is very, very pale and soft. Can you imagine how it would be more low volume? But maybe you would put a darker background with it, or maybe you would just pick, a white fabric with it and then use the pastels. It could have a very, very different vibe. Made me think, just again, soft, low volume. What kind of a quilt person are you? You put it in the comments. Are you high contrast, white and black? Like you like a definite definition in how your fabrics look? Or are you low volume, like, oh yeah, I'd like white and pink next to each other, very pale, soft, not pale maybe, but soft, low contrast. They're two totally different looks. Both are perfectly acceptable, right? It's all personal preference at that point. And I think that's one of the things that's fun about a project like this, is to see how varied and different each of you are going to be. So that is something that you will want to be aware of. Okay, so let's see. What did I show? Oh, and then let's just say that you're like, oh, I kind of like the idea of scrappy black. All right, keep in mind, we do have fat quarter bundles of assorted blacks. This one is called Solitaire Black Fat Quarter Bundle. And I also pulled out the collection of Itty Bitty from Primitive Gatherings. Oh my gosh, what awesome. You could do just all slightly different creams. And that would be wonderful. That is one of the fat quarter bundles. Now, if you want fat quarter bundles with a little bit more pattern, you could certainly go with the second and be there. Let's see. Darlene, tell me a little bit more. It's hard to get away from the focus fabric. I'd love to know a little bit more what you're thinking about that. Oh, and Sharon, yes, the problem is we like them all. Okay, who wants to make this quilt more than once? One of you can make it in 2 different color combinations for us. I'm sure there's somebody out there that could do that. Maybe one scrappy and one, not so scrappy. Okay, so lots of different options of fabric. And I often say, what are you in the mood for, right? Isn't it all sometimes about the mood of what mood you like? I love it. Keep putting it in comments in there of what combinations you like. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So if you're just joining us, we're having a great conversation about fabric choices and fabric selection. And we're specifically talking about Shining Stars, which is the pattern from Patrick Lose that we're using for our Sew the Sparkle Sew Along. This is completely free, okay? So we had already put up the materials list. Now I want to jump into that today. I have posted already all on henandchickstudio.com/sparkle. So maybe some of you have already gone there and started finding it. I put up 2 more downloads, and I'm going to tell you why. So of course, I put up the new first pattern, and the first pattern is this block. It is called the Pinwheel Star Block. So all free patterns, you can download that. But here's the deal. I am an organized fabric cutter. And when I pull up a block like this, and it says, cut 1 7 1/4 D square from white print, I start to think, well, what else do I have to cut? I'm not just cutting 1 7 1/4 inch square out of my white fabric. I mean, we have 7 yards of fabric. You got to be organized when you're cutting fabric, right? So the second download that is up on our website is the entire cutting list, because I like to be efficient when I'm cutting. I like to make sure that I don't waste fabric. If I tried to cut out 1 7 1/4 inch square, I'd probably screw up my yardage, right? So just to show you, in the entire list of instructions from white, you actually cut 2 7 1/4 inch strips, and from the strip you're going to cut 7 7 1/4 inch squares. So see, you want to be efficient so that you then use 1 for the first block, and you're going to set aside the rest. So organization is key. Organization is key, okay? So a couple of things. First of all, find some sort of container. Do you like boxes like this? And of course, you can use a shoe box. You could use a pizza box. Doesn't have to be a fancy box. We do happen to like the clear boxes at our house. Okay. Do you have things like design boards from Lori Holt? Love these. These happen to be the 10-inch design boards. They fit right inside of this box so that I could put pieces on here as I need to help divide them up. Or maybe you need a bigger box from Lori Holt, like this one. Cute. I mean, sometimes you just got to have cuteness when you're getting organized. And so that one, there's fun boxes like that. Maybe you need jumbo clips. Awesome for writing, clipping onto your pieces and labeling it put a piece of paper on there and label what is there. Maybe you need the fun numbered pins so that you can mark things off that way. So we do have a variety of products to help you when it comes to organization. But take some time. This is not a process to be rushed. Take some time, go through all of the cutting instructions, and then get things organized. And then each week, so today you're getting Pinwheel Star Block, then you would be able to pull out just the pieces that you need to make that block. Next week is going to be block 2. Then we skip a week because it's Memorial Day, and then we'll be back 2 more Mondays in a row, June 2nd and 9th. And again, on the 9th, you're going to get all of the instructions. Okay, so a little fun as we divide things up. And there's nothing better when getting organized and cutting a project, give yourself a gift. Anybody have an idea of what that gift could be? A fresh rotary cutter blade. I'm telling you, when you're cutting like, and your threads are not cutting through, that kind of stuff, it can be miserable. So give yourself a gift and make sure that you have a new rotary cutter blade. All right, Kathy is asking, where can I get the pattern? And everything is available on our website at hiddenchickstudio.com/sparkle. You could go into the search and start typing shining stars. It'll come up that way too. But if you want the video, like the video of Patrick Lose, and like all the past, today's video as well as future videos will all live on hiddenchickstudio.com/sparkle. So that's where you're going to find everything that we've got for you today and in the upcoming weeks. So I've already kind of told you the schedule. Let's just reiterate that next Monday, and I do believe we'll be at 9 o'clock. I don't think that there'll be any problem with that. I'll be focusing on some of the piecing, and Patrick Close is using a very specific method for doing his fine geese units, and we're going to be talking about triangle squares because these pieces are used over and over, not only in his quilts, but in other quilts that you love to make and love to work on. And I want to help you perfect your technique and talk about all of that. Okay, let's see. I'm making sure I haven't forgotten anything. So hiddenchickstudio.com/sparkle. You're going to find materials list, cutting list, and the first block for shining stars. So I thank you for joining us on today's video, the first of part one of 4 for our Sew the Sparkle Sew Along. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Be creative.